Your goal is not to weigh a certain amount. Your goal is to look and feel amazing. And a lot of the time, that is actually going to mean weighing more than you think it should. What's going on, Fit Fam? Welcome on back to my channel. My name is Megan Janice, the founder of Nomadic Fitness, and I teach you ladies how to eat way more food without any restrictions and work out smarter instead of harder, so you can get nice, toned, lean, curvy, get a beautiful goddess body, feel amazing in it, and be able to maintain those results for life. So speaking of getting to those results, the way that you're going to get there is you need to stop worrying about how much you weigh and thinking that the goal of this toned, nice, feminine physique is going to be a certain number on the scale, because that is absolutely not the case, and I'm going to show you why in this video. A lot of the time, especially if you do not have that much body fat to lose, so let's say you are around 30% body fat as a woman or a little bit lower, you can see what that looks like here in this body fat chart. Your weight actually might stay exactly the same even though you've gone through a fitness transformation and you look completely different. And here there are so many examples of before and afters of women who weigh either exactly the same or very close to the same weight, even though before they were definitely a little bit bigger, they didn't really have that much definition, and then after they end up looking so much more toned, defined, and really kind of have that ideal feminine physique they want. So how can this be? How is it that you can weigh the exact same in two photos in a before and after, but look completely different? That is because it's not about how much you weigh. Obviously, we've just seen the proof. It's about where does the weight come from, and that is called body composition, which is literally what is your body composed of. There's so many different sources of weight, and we've just been so brainwashed by diet culture to think that all weight loss is good and all weight gain is bad, and that just weight in general is just one constant thing, but obviously that's not at all the case. So there's really two sources of weight gain or loss that you can actually control, and it's going to make a huge difference in the way that you look. So the actual type of weight that everybody says they want to lose when they say I want to lose weight is losing body fat. So body fat is the one that is kind of mushy, flabby, dimply, and it tends to take up a good bit of space on your body. It's kind of bulky and big, and that's why you will end up looking bigger when you have a higher amount of body fat. But obviously that's not the only kind of weight that is on your body. Everything else on your body that has weight that is not body fat is called fat-free mass. So the mass that you are that does not belong to body fat, and within that, the one that you actually really want to gain, the type of weight gain that is going to make the biggest difference in how you look and feel in maintaining results, is of course gaining muscle. So muscle is the type of weight you want to get more of, and that does mean gaining weight, but it's a good type of weight gain, obviously. So this is why you got to move away from thinking I want to weigh less, because a lot of the time that's not necessarily the case. You might actually need to gain a good bit of weight, again, especially if you are a little bit on the skinnier side to start. So here you can see 5 pounds of fat, 5 pounds of muscle, and they both weigh 5 pounds, but fat is a lot bigger. It takes up more space than the 5 pounds of muscle does. And then obviously the texture and appearance is different. Muscle is smooth, firm, tight, and that's why having more of it on your body is going to give you all of this sexy definition, all of the lines that you want to have that are going to make you toned. So looking the way you actually want to look and feeling the way you want to feel is going to involve putting muscle on your body. And for women in particular, the kind of ideal feminine physique that most of us are aspiring to is going to be gaining about 20 pounds of muscle. So that is a lot. And 20 pounds of muscle looks very different than 20 pounds of fat does. And so here's the other thing. When you gain muscle, you have the weight gain from the muscle itself, but not only from that. Because with every bit of muscle that we have on our body, we also have two other sources of weight that gets stored inside of the muscles. And the first is glycogen, which is the energy that we get from carbohydrates that we store inside of our muscles. And this is why eating carbs is so important, because carbs are your body's source of quick access fuel, especially for you to do the workouts you need to do the training, the weightlifting, to build the muscle in the first place, to put the stimulus on the muscles so that the muscle fibers will actually tear, which is why you're sore after a workout, and then they grow back bigger and stronger than they were before. So inside of the muscles, you have glycogen, and then with every bit of glycogen that we store, it also has water weight. So we have glycogen and water, both sources of actual weight that are getting stored inside of your muscle, and the muscle also is a source of weight gain. And then lastly, in addition to that, a lot of the time, in order to gain more muscle, you're gonna need to be eating a lot more food than you're probably used to. And when you're eating more food, you're also going to have a little bit of gain from the fact that you have just a higher content of food in your body, in your guts. So that is your gut weight. And then especially when you're eating lots of carbs, that also can store a little bit more water in your body. So here's the thing, we've been conditioned by diet culture, brainwashed by diet culture. Okay, all sources of weight gain are only fat gain, and therefore any kind of gain is bad. But actually the truth is there's a lot of good sources of weight gain, which is muscle, water, glycogen, and just general food content, aka gut weight, that we need to consume in order to build the muscle in the first place, because muscle can't come from nothing. It needs fuel to be created, and it needs a lot of it. So it is for exactly this reason that you can see women in these before and after photos, and they can weigh the exact same amount or very close to the same amount, or sometimes they can actually gain quite a bit of weight, maybe another 10, 20 pounds or more, but they actually look so much better. They look toned, they look lean, the way that most women want to be looking. So now you can understand how that type of transformation is possible, because you think, oh, you're leaner, you're more toned, you must weigh less, but that's not the case. They actually can weigh more, or at least weigh very similar, even though they're smaller now, and that's because they still had a weight gain from muscle, water, glycogen, and gut weight. So this is something I have to explain to new clients when they come into my world, because a lot of the time they'll come to me and they want to lose probably like 10 to 20 pounds of fat, but they tell me they want to lose like 20 pounds of weight on the scale. So for example, this is one of my clients that I'm working with currently. We've been together for about 10 weeks. And when she first came to me, she had been doing all the bad things, but of course thought that they were the right things, like eating super low calorie, constantly dieting, doing crazy hard cardio classes. And she was wondering why she wasn't getting a lean toned body. So she saw the results I was getting from my clients, and she knew she wanted to get those results. And she already weighed 130 pounds. So she told me that she wanted to get to 115 pounds. And I was like, girl, there's no way you're going to weigh 115 pounds. If you got to that light weight, I promise you, you would just be really skinny fat. You would be sickly. You wouldn't feel good at all. And you wouldn't look the way you want to look. You just think that being lighter is going to give you that lean toned body, but that's not the case. So I educated her that we were actually going to get her eating way more food, not do any crazy cardio, and instead learn how to lift weights properly. And that was actually going to lean her out and tone her up. But she was really hesitant to believe me. She was so scared. She told me a million times, I don't want to get bulky. If I eat more and if I'm lifting weights, aren't I just going to get bulky? And I was like, no, girl, I'm not going to make you get bulky. I'm going to show you how to get the feminine physique, the lean toned body you want. And yes, in order to get it and to maintain it all of the time, you're going to need to eat more. You're going to have to stop doing all that crazy cardio. And most importantly of all, you have to release the idea that looking the way you want to look can only be at a specific number on the scale, because you might be surprised how good you look, even though the number on the scale is not what you think it should be, based obviously on your brainwashed miseducation from diet culture. So she decided to trust me, and in just a couple of weeks, she had a huge transformation. And all of this completely blew her mind, because of course, when she came to me, she thought, no, I want to be 115 pounds. That's not the case. Sometimes your weight is going to stay exactly the same. And when this happens, that's actually called a body recomposition. So literally meaning your weight stays the same, but what your body is composed of is completely changed. So recompose. The fat comes off, which takes up more space on your body, and then the muscle, the water, the glycogen, the gut weight come on, but that actually makes you leaner, toned, and more defined. So that's just one example, but there are so many countless examples I can think of that just go to show you, stop worrying and thinking that you have to weigh a specific number on the scale in order to achieve your dream result, and just really kind of let go of how much you weigh in general. It really doesn't actually matter, because the only thing you care about is actually looking and feeling good. You don't care about how much you weigh. All right, so now I know you might be thinking, okay, sure, that's for women who don't have that much body fat to lose. Their weight is not necessarily going to change that much, or maybe they're even going to gain weight. But what about somebody who does have a higher amount of body fat to lose? Let's say somebody who has 30 to 50 pounds or even more of body fat that they want to lose. Even in this case, you might be surprised that the scale is not necessarily going to change as much as you think it should. Yes, I would say for those who do have a higher amount of body fat, so women who are over 30% body fat, most likely you are going to see an overall decrease in your weight on the scale as you get fitter. As the muscle comes on and the body fat comes off, you probably are going to see a pretty decent reduction in total body weight. But that being said, it's not necessarily going to be as much as you think it should, and it's not going to happen as fast as you think it should, because again, we've been so brainwashed by diet culture to think you should just be able to lose like 20-30 pounds in like 1 or 2 months. Absolutely not the case. It really does take a lot longer than that, and you can be very sure that if you are losing weight on the scale too quickly, that is a bad thing. And this obviously is what we see all the time with yo-yo dieting. Is somebody does something really extreme where they are dropping weight on the scale pretty quickly, but then what happens? They gain it all back, and then they have an even harder time losing it. And the reason that happens is because if you are losing weight too fast, that means you're also losing a bunch of muscle. And especially with really extreme, low calorie, highly restrictive diets, you can be pretty sure that as much as 50% of the weight you are losing on the scale is actually muscle loss. So that is really, really bad. You obviously know by now that muscle is the thing that is going to make you look good. It's the thing that's going to make you toned and defined, and obviously just make you strong and healthy, speed up your metabolism, balance your hormones so you can stay this way forever. So really, you should not be expecting to see more than 1 to max 2 pounds of actual body weight loss on the scale per week when you're in a fat loss phase. And of course, the more fat you have to lose, the higher that number is, the less fat you have to lose. It can sometimes be not even any change in the scale per week for a few weeks at a time, or it can be as little as like 0.5 of a change. But just because you're not seeing a drop in the scale does not mean your body is not changing. A lot of the time there are very big changes happening, but you have to remember that although body fat is coming off, this is masked on the scale, and you don't see the complete change happening in those numbers because simultaneously muscle, water, glycogen, and gut weight are coming on. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't weigh yourself or that you shouldn't use the scale as a tool in your fitness journey. I actually love having my clients weigh themselves every single day, and I really encourage them to not be afraid of the scale. And obviously I teach them everything that I'm talking about in this video, that it's not about how much you weigh, it's about your body composition and feeling really good in your body, being able to maintain those results with a truly realistic, consistent lifestyle. But what is happening with your body weight over time relative to how you're eating, how you're training, what's going on in your life, if you're super stressed, if you're getting good quality sleep, if you're on your menstrual cycle, all of that is really important biofeedback that your body is giving you. So that's why in my coaching program, I am really adamant about having my clients weigh themselves every single morning, first thing in the morning, naked, on an empty stomach before eating or drinking anything, and after using the bathroom to get your true accurate weight that morning. And I always tell them that it's not any one number on any one day that matters, because of course there's going to be so many reasons why the number fluctuates day to day. There's just regular water fluctuations in your body, especially as a woman with all the hormonal changes we go through. It could be that you had some alcohol, it could be that you had a little bit higher salt content, so maybe that brought your weight up a little bit. And even when you're training, when you're gaining muscle and you're tearing your muscle fibers, that inflames your muscles, and sometimes that can contribute a little bit of gain on the scale the next day. So you should definitely expect to see the number going up and down a little bit. However, there should be a pretty clear trend in the data over time when you're doing things correctly to achieve the goal that you want. And sometimes that trend can be that your weight is pretty much maintaining even though you're eating so much more food and you look a lot leaner and more toned in your photos. Sometimes it can be that it's going up even though you're looking better, and then sometimes it is going to be that it's going down, especially if you are a woman who has a higher amount of body fat to lose. So while you should use the scale, and that's going to give you important biofeedback to let you know how fast your metabolism is getting and how your body's responding to what you're doing, the most important thing for you to do is to take photos every single week. And I'm so big about this with my own progress and also with my clients. I make sure that they take photos every week, upload it in the training app that we use, and I really encourage them to always take their photos from the same angle with the same lighting and the same outfit as much as possible, so that the side-by-side contrast is going to be as best as possible, and there's nothing else that's distracting and taking away from the change that's actually happening in your physique. So this is why I take your photos, because you might be thinking, why am I gaining weight? Why is my weight staying the same? Or why is it not going down as much as I think it should? But then when you look at your after photo, you actually look so much better and you actually have the physique that you want. So pay attention to photos, use the scale to help you make smart choices about what you should be doing with your food intake, but overall release yourself from this idea that you need to weigh a certain amount or that you should weigh a certain amount, because a lot of the time you're going to be surprised that the ideal physique you want to have actually is a heavier one than you think it should be. All right, ladies, I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, comment down below. I am always here to help you. And as always, if you're looking for one-to-one expert guidance and you want to have somebody just take care of all this data and tell you exactly what to eat, how much to eat, what workouts to do, check in on you every week and adjust your program based on how your body is responding, specifically what your biofeedback is saying, that's exactly what my one-to-one coaching program is all about. So if you're interested, you can click on the link below to apply. Thank you so much for checking out this video, ladies, and I will see you in the next one.